Hello and welcome to Cornish Walking Trails. Today we're at St Michael's Mount. Whilst we've been doing this channel, we've come across lots of stories set in Cornish folklore, and we thought we'd bring some of them to you today. We've got 3 for you today. First, we're here to visit Iamacreator, where folklore tells the story of a giant. At Trevose, we're on the trail of an ancient curse, and we finish in Portreath looking for a dead man's hut. So there's the little village of Iamacreator. It's on the south coast of Cornwall near Penzance. Welcome to Iamacreator, the home of St Michael's Mount.
Do you know who made St Michael's Mount?
No.
I do.
Who?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Alright, come on then.
National Trust has owned most of the island and the causeway since 1954 and is responsible for its conservation and upkeep. This resulted from a gift by the Snorbin family, who lived in the castle since 1650s and still do so today.
Well, according to local legend and folklore, St Michael's Mount was built by a giant. So the giant was called Kimura,
Okay.
and his wife, who lived there with him, was called Cremelian.
Oh, that's a nice name.
Yeah, and together they built this. It's quite impressive, isn't it?
It is. How did they do that then?
Well, apparently he was a giant of a man. He was 18 foot tall.
That's tall.
Which is quite tall, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he carried all the granite stone over.
Wow.
Built this.
That's a lot of granite.
And it is said that this rock, which is behind you, which is called Chapel Rock, was built by his wife.
This is Chapel Rock, yeah? And this was dropped by his wife out of her apron.
Yeah, apparently you weren't too happy about it.
He's up there sketching. There's Iamacreator behind in the beginning of the causeway. Let's go! Did you see the concentration on that guy's face? Oh, just to stay on the causeway. There is quite a drop. It's about a foot higher than the rest of the sand.
You wouldn't want to call the AA out here, would you?
I think you might be waiting a while.
I've broken down. Where are you? I'm on a causeway. I'm going to St Michael's Mount.
You'd be popular, wouldn't you? So the causeway is made up of granite, well, predominantly granite, lovely honey-coloured granite. Very easy to walk. The National Trust do a superb job maintaining it, regularly replacing the odd bit that falls out over the winter storms. Oh, here we can see some sea erosion. Even the seaweed is growing in between.
So the giant called Kimura, right? He wasn't very nice.
No.
No, and the locals didn't like him.
Why's that?
Well, he would help himself occasionally to cattle.
Bit annoying.
Yeah, and he would steal their crops.
Not nice.
And they'd had enough of that.
So did they try and do anything about him?
Well, they did, because there was this local lad, see, and he was called Jack.
Nice lad?
Yeah, he was alright.
Yeah?
Yeah. Anyway, he decided he was going to sneak over in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
and he dug a great big pit at the base of the mount.
Oh, okay.
Right?
It wasn't a giant pit, was it?
It was pretty big.
The giant pit.
Giant pit.
A giant pit.
Yeah. So he was blowing his horn.
Blowing his horn.
Giant didn't like that.
No.
Woke him up. So he came thundering down.
Bit teasy.
In a bit of a rage. Came thundering down the hill.
Yeah.
And he fell into the pit.
The giant pit.
The giant pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And that was the end of the giant.
Way! Good for Jack. So the mount's not open at the moment. We can't go up there, can we?
No, so it's owned by the National Trust, and they've decided basically over the winter they're doing some renovation works. It's opening again, I think 18th of March.
Oh, that's not too long, is
Yeah.
it? Doesn't it look fantastic up there? It's quite a steep climb, as I remember.
Isn't it?
1891 this little house was built. Look at that little turret room. I wonder if that's the stairs. In the shadow of the big mount. Cheeky little seagull sat on that chimney pot. Just make out the back end of his feathers. I think these seagulls could be a bit annoying if you lived here. Sat on your walls, leaving their uninvited presence. Can you imagine how many trips it would have taken him if he actually did build that? So our information today, not only do we know about it from having lived here, but it is on Wiki if you wanted to look up the giant of St Michael's Mount. So that's our story of St Michael's Men and Jack the Giant Slayer. Do you think the giant really did it?
Oh yeah, of course he did. It's all true.
It's all true. Cornish folklore.
Yeah.
Now we're off to Trevose to find a cursed field. So whilst we're up here at Trevose today, we had to tell you the story of a cursed field. Trevose Head is on the north coast of Cornwall, near Padstow. Today's story is taken from Cornwall's Haunted Houses, Harlyn House, Trevose.
We did.
I'm stood on a bench.
Why?
I'm looking for an unploughed fallow field of Harlyn House. In fact, I'm looking for Harlyn House, but I can't see it.
Mad. So basically you're looking for a field. Never a pile
The
of...
story goes that a field on the estate of Harlyn House was cursed by a charmer called Mother Ivy. People say she cursed the field when the Peter family used a catch of pilchards as manure instead of feeding the hungry local families. Now, Mother Ivy was a charmer back in the 1790s. She lived here at Mother Ivy's Bay in the house up on the cliffside. She was a wealthy woman in her own right, having inherited the house from her brother-in-law. And the house back in Trevose was owned by a family called the Peter family. Anyway, there was a big catch of pilchards, so many that he thought he could make a profit by taking them to Italy. Unbeknown to him, Italy had a glut of fish, didn't want the fish, the pilchards, brought them home, by which time they'd gone a bit off. They were stinking. He decided to plough them into a field. The locals were starving because the harvest had failed and they would have eaten the fish regardless of what they smelt like. And Mother Ivy is said to have cursed this field. Every time it's dug or ploughed, a member of the landowning family seems to have met a tragic end. Even in 1941, after attempts to dig air raid trenches, the owner's son, Harold Hellier, died a week later in an air raid on Buckingham Palace. So it would seem that the curse is still very much alive today. The house is currently for sale with an asking price of £3 million. They'd better not go out digging.
Now you got me looking for a field in Trevose Head.
Yeah,
You're
good
off your
fun,
tree.
innit? Well, if you will buy these books.
Who knows? It could be this one, but I doubt it.
Well, I guess it could be that one. What do you think?
People think you've got some sort of fascination with fields.
I'm out standing in my field.
You are out standing in your field. Congratulations.
So that's Harlyn House. We're now going to tell you the story of a dead man's hut in Portreath. We're walking down to the harbour now. Do you know where we're going?
Yeah, I think it's out on the end of the harbour.
What are we looking for?
We're looking for the old pilot's lookout.
Right, let's go and see if we can
It's
find
also
it then.
called the Dead Man's Hut.
Why?
Come on!
So we're sat here in Portreath Harbour. Our story is actually taken from one of our ghost books. Andrew likes his ghost books, don't you?
Cornish ghost stories.
Portreath is on the north coast of Cornwall near Redruth. Once a thriving harbour with the mining industry in Cornwall.
This little harbour with its narrow entrance was in the 19th century heyday used to export tin from the local mines to South Wales, and in return their coal was brought into the harbour for use in powering the Cornish tin and copper mine steam engines.
With Portreath's importance to the mining industry, whenever a body was thrown up by the sea, they used to bring it here. So we're looking for the temporary morgue, known locally as the Dead Man's Hut.
The lower pilot's lookout in Portreath, also called the Dead Man's Hut. This building was the lower of 2 points controlling access into Portreath Harbour via a flag signalling system. The macabre name, by which it is still known locally, derives from its use as a temporary mortuary whenever a body was given up by the sea.
Oh, these steps have been around a few years, haven't they? Cut granite. Don't see that anymore. And at the top, Dead Man's Hut. Doesn't really look big enough to lie a body on the floor. Is there anybody here?
Hello! This little hut was used in the past as a pilot's lookout, from a good vantage point of the narrow entrance to the harbour.
Dear Sarah,
Yeah.
locals have said you might see ghosts down here.
Do you fancy coming back down here this evening then?
No,
Really?
Well, go on then.
Back in the dead of night.
Mad.
Why have you brought me back here?
Well, we've got to check the story out.
Let's get some footage anyway. We've had food and we've come back to finish our adventure.
Yeah, I needed food to come and finish our adventure.
It is claimed that shadowy figures, sometimes seen at night, are thought to be apparitions of unknown drowned mariners.
So what time is it?
Night time.
Deadman's hut. What do you reckon? Are you feeling anything?
It's suddenly gone very cold.
I think that's the wind, darling.
Alright. What time do they appear?
No idea. I don't know what we were expecting to show you, really. We got any equipment to sense any orbs or anything?
Some gloves.
Alright. Iamacreator?
Where? He's not here, is he?
Let's call it a night before any apparitions actually do appear. Come on! Let's go home! So, if you want us to do this again, I think we need 100 likes.
What a waste of time. I could be in bed.
Tide's coming in, it's looking pretty, but I can't film it because we haven't got the right equipment, have we?
You're nuts.
That's our story about Portreath and the Deadman's hut. What do you think? Do you think there are apparitions here?
It wouldn't surprise me.
It does feel a bit spooky,
Sort
doesn't
of place
it?
where you'd expect to see apparitions.
Yeah.